Hello, is everyone in? Hello, hello, how are you?
Hello, hello.
Come on in, come on in.
Come on in and welcome to another episode of Real Talk with K and J.
That would be it.
Another episode of Real Talk with K and J. Hello.
We have anybody out there? Give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, give me something. Let's know that we're in here. All right, we're in.
We're live. Well, like I said, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with K and J, our weekly episode of just Real Talk. Tonight we're going to be talking about expectations versus reality.
Expectations versus reality.
Expectations versus reality.
Woo! Expectations versus reality. So, who knows? Sometimes, in what we do and how we do it, before you get into a relationship, people always talk about setting expectations, what my man is going to provide for me, what my woman is going to provide for me. How does that work? How does that look? So we try to figure out, are your expectations actually attainable and true? That would be the first thing. Are they obtainable and are they truthful? Again, this is Be Real, so there's going to be some comments that people may not understand. Hey there, me cat. How's it going? One of the things that we like to do for us is to think about before we started dating and what did you want in a man or what did you want in a woman, and all of these lofty expectations that may have not been actually fostered from you. They may have been fostered from the music that you listen to. They may have been fostered from relationships that you've seen, whether they were good or bad. They could have been fostered from other just things that soak up. As people say, watch what you listen to because sometimes it gets in your spirit. So you want to be careful about setting expectations ahead of time. Because sometimes you can't expect people to live up to your expectations. They may not have the ability. They may be nice. They may be okay. But they may also come back and say, I don't know if I want to do all the stuff that you want me to do. So expectations, we're going to talk about, and then we'll roll over into the reality portion.
It's really easy. We all have lists. Everybody knows that when you're single, you create a list of what your potential mate, the things that you want, the things that you require. And in expectations, we're not saying that you have to settle. We're not saying lower your standard. I think there's a difference between expectations and standards. I think that sometimes we can expect for somebody to come to us having A to Z together, and we barely have A together, but you expect for somebody else to be all the way, to have everything that you desire, to have everything that you just everything, and you haven't given yourself that. You can't do for yourself what you expect for somebody else to do for you. And I think my thing was, I had my idea of the things that I wanted. I had my idea. I definitely had the things that I didn't want. That was very clear, the things that I didn't want. But the things that I expected, in my head, I knew I needed. I just wanted to have a conversation with him. And sometimes we don't tell somebody what we expect from them. We just expect it. And then when they don't do it or they don't give it, which, a lot of relationships start off in the beginning with giving. What can you give me? What can you do for me? What can you give me? And it's like, okay, if you never say these things to me, then how am I supposed to know? Yes, some things are understood, but that also creates a lot of misunderstandings. That creates a lot of feelings of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do for you. I don't know what to say to you because We haven't talked about it. A lot of problems in the beginning stages, I feel, and even now we still have to talk about things that we expect, because sometimes you forget, you get comfortable, you get all these things, and it's like, okay, we need to revisit this conversation that we had 2 years ago. It's okay to go back and talk about things that you're not feeling like, okay, this is going where I want it to go.
And I agree. So, hey, Linda, thanks for joining us. I see you joined us as well. So, again, this is a forum for opening up questions and having that dialogue. It's not always necessarily about what K and J have to say, but really get into what is your experience. What is your experience in dating? What is your experience in when you have set those expectations or you set the bar, and how does that go? How does that look? We all want to be treated fairly. We all want to be loved. There's a majority of us out there that may want to be well taken care of. If you were raised by your grandparents, there's a dynamic there of that old school love where grandmama stayed at home and took care of everything, and dad worked. The dad came home to a nice meal. And when dad came home to a nice meal, the family was together, and then they kind of went their separate ways for the night. Kids went their way, and the parents kind of stayed up and did what they did. This is a new era. There are definitely women who want to get things for themselves and want to do what they want to do. And they want to have a career. They want to do things that are pleasing, beneficial, and motivational to them. Personally, for me, I'm never a person who kind of wants to just be around. If I'm in something, I'm in it 110%. We strive for the best in whatever we do. So what do we do? How do you do it? And then what is that reality for getting to make that happen? I myself, we have conversations, and I'm pretty sure this will spark some interest. We have some conversations sometimes where some of our friends are single and have been looking for relationships, or a gentleman caller, for 5 years now. And those are some of the questions that we have. Is that Jocelyn? Hey, Jocelyn, how are you? Welcome in. Come on in. Send us some thumbs up. Send us some hearts. There we go. Wake up out there, TV land. Wake up. So how do you do that? Think about, we talked about, and it may be controversial, but it is what it is. I like Beyonce as a person, but I think sometimes I call them those national women liberation anthems that came out in the 3 to 4 years ago, kind of changed the tide and changed how individuals are dating. All the single ladies, that was an anthem. Although Beyonce was singing that, but she wasn't single. But that's just me. I think about Neo and Independent. We were all learning how to spell independent in that song. But if you got your own house and you got your own car and you a bad broad, those are things that, if you say that long enough, that's what you feel. Now you have this new music, and this new music is like Lettucey, who says, what can you add to me? And I think sometimes we get caught up in some of those outward things that drive and motivate us to have a relationship. I'm one who, it has to work for me. And if it doesn't work for me, then sometimes you have to kind of be a boss and say, hey, this is not what I'm looking for. And we went through that. We went through a point where somebody thought that they were going to call me and tell me that they were just going to leave me alone. It was going to be okay. Like there was not going to be any conversation in that. But you have to respect each other's ideas. Okay? I think at some point, this young lady was ready a tad bit before I was. I needed to kind of assess the situation a little longer. Figure that out. Assess that situation and figure out, is this really what I want to do? Which quickly led to, fool, if you don't call this woman and figure out how to make this work, you're going to lose her. Now that's an expectation, and then the reality hit, and you got to make a decision. And the reality is, if this person is making you happy, and this person is meeting your needs, and you're on the phone, and you're spending that time, and you're flying 12 hours around the world, there's some things that you got to do. And you got to kind of suck that up, make the hard decision, and then you sit back down, as we talked about last week, about really having that dialogue and that conversation about what we do and how we do it.
Okay, we have a question. Is it expected for women to cook and clean and the men to handle the labor?
Okay, so we kind of prefaced that a few minutes ago and touched on that. I think our grandparents, and for some of us, maybe our parents, that's what we saw when we were growing up. We saw dad to go out and be the laborer. We saw mom to cook and clean, take care of the house, make sure things were neat and tidy. I think as we have evolved, and we all know we've evolved, so you have eras. You have the baby boomers, right? Then you had Generation X. Then you had the millennials. As you continue to do that, I think that has fallen off. And now a lot of people are looking to partner, because it's much more easier to partner than for one person to carry the torch.
Absolutely.
Now, for me, were there still some things that were important? Oh, yes. Because if she couldn't cook, chances are she can't clean, because there was nothing to clean if you didn't know how to cook, right? There were no dishes that were dirty, so I don't know if you can clean because you can't cook. They kind of went together for me. So, a pot of greens on the stove, a couple of naked bones in the oven, those kind of things. I wanted to make sure that they were there. Now, do I think that I'm going to come home, nor do I want to really come home to a cooked meal, because I think sometimes this expectation takes you into your reality. If you're expecting a home cooked meal, you're not going to come home every day starving. You're not going to come home every day ready to eat. So if I walk through the door today because I took a late lunch and I'm not ready to eat at 5:30, 6 o'clock, what happens to the person that's in a relationship that prepared the meal?
Some type of way.
There's a feeling of ambivalence there, because, hey, I've kind of cooked and cleaned and slaved, and then you come home and you don't want to eat. I come home and I may want to smoke a cigar. That's an hour and a half. Slow burn. So the expectation does not have to be there. The reality is you have a conversation. For me, the reality is you pick up the phone because she gets off at 2, and I don't get off until 5:36. You pick up the phone and say, hey, I want such and such tonight. Can we make that happen? And if that means that I have to swing through the store on my way off to bring something home to cook, then that's what we do.
And I think with us, I think that question, it depends on the individuals. We both have full-time jobs. We both live in this house. Do I take the woman's role of doing the cooking, the cleaning, the whatever? Sure, I get home way before he does. But there are plenty of times where we're in the kitchen together. That creates a bond. We have an opportunity to talk to each other while we're in the kitchen. He does the laundry. He cleans the bathroom. He does all of that kind of thing. I think a lot of things that we saw our parents and our grandparents do, it was what it was then. Like I said, the generations have changed. It's a thing that you talk about. It's like, okay, some people just ask the question, am I expected to be a housewife and have a full-time job? Or am I expected to be? It's expectations, but we talked about that. He was like, my mother raised me to cook, clean, to do whatever. So those kind of things that we do together, they create a bond. They make you stronger. It's not so much as you're a woman, you're supposed to. I did when I was single and I lived alone, yes, but now we are here together. We doing things together. It's a togetherness. It's a we. It's a us. It's never a I, you. It's a we. It's a us. So we do those things, and they strengthen our relationship. They teach us. He's like, okay, if the laundry needs doing, I'm going to do the laundry, you go do this, or whatever. We just kind of make it happen. But I think that all those things are things that you just have to talk about. We get so caught up in thinking, like you said, we have our own thoughts. We think a lot, and we don't verbalize those to the person that we need to verbalize them to.
Correct. So, Lori, you had an interesting question here. It's not a question, it's more of a statement. Lori says, I really need a man that is honorable and faithful. Honorable and faithful. Okay. Faithful is self-explanatory, but let's talk about honorable. Who's making the definition of being honorable? And what does that look like? And if you didn't see that characteristic before you started the relationship, and I'm tying this into you, MzBee, if you didn't see that into the relationship, then why do you constantly pursue someone who you may not have that feeling? We all want to be loved. We all want to be engaged or courted, or sometimes you just need that attention. But if you're going to invest your time, if you're going to invest your efforts, if you're going to invest your money in trying to create a relationship with someone, then those are the things that, Lori, I would suggest that you look at first. I mean, after the first date or the second date, you should know then if those things are honorable. Faithfulness, we could talk about that 20 episodes next. I think faithfulness is something we'll touch on later down the line, but that was very interesting that you used the word honorable, meaning that as we move around and as you see a man, it's that honorable trait. What is that? Is that the taking care of you? Is that the opening the door? Is that the greeting you in the morning? Is that the kiss on the forehead? To you, are those things honorable? Because that might not mean honorable to the gentleman caller that you're trying to date at that time. Lori says, well, I have my own personal assistant before I get married. I want to focus on enjoying my husband. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We're gonna leave that alone. I think sometimes we get into that and we don't do the things that it sounds like we didn't do due diligence to begin with. Because we're getting older, we can't rush the courtship or rush the dating or rush whatever new term is out there for today. You can't rush that. MzBee says, but why do individuals pursue the person so persistently, and when they get them, they're not ready?
Visual. Now,
MzBee, it kind of sounds like you're asking a man's opinion of why we pursue women, but we don't really want to.
Visual.
I think I answered the question by the way that I answered the question. Hey, it looks great. The package looks great, right? But maybe as we pursue, maybe there's something that turned us off, or maybe it was the visual and it was all about a game. And people do that. I get it. I love the little commercial of the man who bought the lady the Lexus, and it's still a Lexus, brand new, but the Lexus looks so much better with the red ribbon on it, right? It's still a Lexus, right? The red ribbon didn't do anything. It was a sweet gesture, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a Lexus. You have to kind of peel away the layers and understand that, take away the makeup, take away all of that stuff and figure out what it is that you and the young man that you're talking to are really trying to do. Because you got to do it. You got to do it. If you don't, then you find yourself in a series of dating games, and none of them have led you to where you were trying to go. And as I counsel some of the people that I counsel on a daily basis, for women, I use the term a pizza man. And they'd be like, a pizza man? I say, yeah, you want a piece of a man. You got Papa John over here. You got Mr. Domino's over here. You got Mr. Pizza Hut over here. All of them are delivering, but none of the pizza was good enough for you because you keep asking for delivery service. So maybe then you need to step back and figure out what it is that you're looking for. MzBee, what about intimacy?
Oh wow. Yeah, unrealistic expectations is we've all had the conversation with the girlfriends about, does size really matter? Just being frank, we talking real. Does size really matter? How long? We talked about we need hours of this and whatever. I think all of that stuff is it matters on the back end to me, because intimacy starts way before the actual act of being intimate. Intimacy is a conversation, it's a text message, it's a random this, it's a random that, it's random, all this stuff that leads up to, and I think everything goes back to having a conversation. When you're dating someone, do you tell them that I like this, I like this, I like that? Do you even know that you like this, and like that? Or are you open to what your partner likes? Are they open to what you like? I mean, you can't expect someone to give you things that they don't know to give you. He didn't know that I liked everything that I like if I never told him. We just get in bed and perform the act, then that's not to me, that's not intimacy. The random text during the middle of the day when he's in a meeting of whatever, it's like, okay, I'm ready to go home now. It's a lot of little things that lead up to a big moment, and it's all about a moment. And I think it just, sometimes we just have to say, we're like, okay, well, I need to teach him. Okay, if you need to teach him, you need to talk to him as well. You can't, a teacher talks to her students. You have to talk to him as well. And I think that for me, Jay pushes me to the left of my box. My box is right here. He pushes me all the way over there down to Atlanta somewhere. And it's that's just being 100% honest. And that's like the little things. And it's like, now I have this thought in my head. Now he's got me feeling some kind of way. Or now I feel that I need to say this, or I need to do this, or whatever. But I think it just goes to being like in tune with the person that you're with. And that's like just saying, hey, I feel some kind of way, or hey, I need this, or walking up to him and rubbing the back of his head, giving him a massage, just doing little stuff before you actually get in bed with somebody. You can be intimate with somebody without actually getting in bed with them.
Okay, I think intimacy is that word could be kind of used differently between a man and a woman.
Absolutely.
Men, sometimes we just kind of feel like we're a man, this manhood thing that I'm wearing across my chest. And we do things because that's the way they should be done. I'm not calling her 15 times a day. I'm not texting her and sending heart emojis and googly eyes and all of that stuff. Because we don't know that that's what you like. So there has to be a communication about what things keep you going through the day. For me, it was all about keeping what you got. If you want what you got, you make the effort to keep it. Yes, I am in meetings 63% of the day. There's some kind of meeting that I'm a part of, some kind of meeting I'm on, some kind of meeting I'm Zooming. I'm so tired of Zoom right now. But you find the time to just check on your mate or check on the person that you're interested in and kind of keep that thing going. So as you start to create that intimacy, MzBee, then that intimacy kind of rolls over into those four walls later on. That's when, you can kind of take care of what you kind of take care of. When you, put on that good CD, and I know we all had the CD and that tape, that cassette tape that we label Bedroom Boom. That's when you got to get that Avant going, and do some of the things that you're doing. Yes, Lori, you're right. Learning to listen before you speak. Oh my God, girl!
Absolutely, and not only learning to listen before you speak. Listen not just to speak, but make sure you are listening to understand what is being said, because somebody can talk to you all day long and you ain't heard nothing they said. They just talk for what? And they can turn around and ask you, did you hear me? Did you whatever? And sometimes you didn't. You actually were not listening to them. You were listening, creating your response at the same time. We just had this whole conversation over whatever it was about. Now I'm ready to respond, but I can't tell you what you said. I just heard enough just to have my response ready. You have, in talking to I need you to it's not only listening, it's not only communication, it's comprehension. Did you understand what I said? Did you understand how I feel? Do you I need you to understand, not only hear me talking, not only see my mouth moving, I need you to understand. And I think for me, that was in the beginning, I really had to be conscious of that, because I was ready. Oh yeah, whatever you said, I was ready. So, it sometimes we have to take self. You always have to take a look at self in order to deal with somebody else. I need to understand me. I need to, get me together before I can understand him. And that was my thing. Out mouth, ready to go all the time. And not understanding what he was saying, not understanding how he was feeling, not understanding really how to respond to him. I just wanted to have something to say, because I was going to say what I was going to say.
Yeah, she was Woodini back then. She had a big mouth. Look, from a man's perspective, ladies, and hear me out, and it is what it is. Sometimes you ask men questions that we need to kind of take a moment to answer. And you got to be woman enough, lady enough, strong enough to give us a 30-second pause, a 40-second pause, so that we can kind of formulate our thoughts. In this day and age of being strong and independent, and that works both ways. What's going on, Dwayne? Glad to see you logging in. How do you have that conversation if you're doing all the talking? Then there's not a conversation. There's a dictatorship. And then you're mad because you've spoken to a person and you're liking a person, and that person now is only hitting you back every other day. And then come the excuses. I feel like he just wants me for sex. Well, you didn't give him time to say what he needed to say. I'm not the smartest, but I do understand that my words have power. Not just because I work, but just because my words have power. I have a very good command of the English vernacular. I can speak. So when you're asking me something, allow me the opportunity to kind of respond. The most disrespectful thing is when you take those words out of my mouth. And when a man tells you he didn't have a response and he didn't know, oh, best believe he didn't know. We're trying to figure out, do we go left or do we go right? And if you have not built and forged that relationship, then there's a problem. There's a big problem. Because then you're not communicating. Then you're kind of dictating what needs to happen. And eventually, and I'm not speaking for all brothers, but I know for me, what used to be a frequently contacted number will now just be in the list. Because I don't want to be with someone who asks the question, answers the question, and gives me my answer all in the same conversation. Ladies, you got to dial it back a little bit. Just a little. Got to dial it back. And give yourself some props in this. Don't look at the point that we're telling you to dial it back. I mean, history and facts are proven. Ladies, you mature faster than men. Ladies, you think more than we do. That is proven fact. So if you know all of that, then what do? Give us our time. Give us a minute to digest.
That's the thing with expectations. We mature. We expect when we meet somebody that they're mature as well. We expect, you to be on my level. We expect, we have high expectations. We like, I need this man to be here with me. I need him to be here with me. And in reality, some men really aren't. They are not there. Some men can accept a strong woman, and he'll level up. Some men will run into a strong woman and you'll immediately know that, baby, you need to go back home to your mama. But we have very high expectations. But we push those sometimes onto the person that we're interested in, onto the person that's interested in us. And like he said, giving him that moment to respond, I definitely had to dial back on that one because I need an answer like right now. I need to know like right now. And it's like we had to have the conversation and he had to tell me, hold on, just hold on. I need the moment to process whatever. But because of me being me and me knowing who I am, I expected him to come right back like I would. And he didn't. It kind of, like I said, our first year was rough. It was rocky. We went through a lot and we got through a lot. Whatever. We did, and we had to do a whole lot of talking, and that created a closeness. We became more friends in that time than like we were dating, because we got to know each other so much better just by talking. And I have to let you know how I'm feeling, what I like, what I don't like, what I don't understand about you, what you're not doing that I expect. And it's like, okay, that's my expectation. That's not his reality. It's my expectation. So we had to talk about that.
So these words and this stuff. So I'm going to pose something and we're going to keep on talking, but I'm really wanting to see what the response is. So ladies, this term level up. Somebody explain to me what the heck you think that is. What do you think level up is? While we keep talking. Don't worry, I'm going to hold my phone and wait. MzBee, yeah, you can level up too. Come on, give me your definition. So, hey, Aaron, thanks for joining us. So when you talk about, and I'm going to continue to talk about level up while I see someone respond to what they think that is. So level up means you are somewhere and you're trying to get higher, right? But if you have nothing on your foundation, then anything is a level up. Don't want to step on anybody's toes. But when you say level up, when lady, in the aspect, Aaron, of in the aspect of when you feel the need to have an expectation that the man that you're trying to be with or you want, the gentleman caller, he has to make you better. He has to bring something to the table. He has to level up. So, let me explain the level up problem that we had. I got 2 cars. I had 2 jobs. I was staying in a 4,500 square foot house. What the hell was we leveling up for? What was she going to bring? A mansion? We were going to move on Miami, stay next to Puffy. I'm trying to figure that out. So it's not about really gaining anything and moving anything. It's about adding to, right? What can you add to? How do you do that? No, Aaron, hopefully I did not hurt anybody's feelings. This is real. MzBee keeps saying giving it real, and I probably am not on 4 yet, and I can get to 10. I really feel that, I have been around the block. a couple of 23, 4 times. So there are not things there that I need to really deal with. I'm okay. I'm okay in who I am. When I tell you I stand on my 10 toes, that's how I stand. I met MzBee just as quiet as I could be, but rest assured that MzBee was covered. She knew somewhere along the line that crazy man that's sitting in that corner not saying nothing, he got me. So when Sylvia, I'm gonna Miss Porter, I'm gonna talk about that. Sylvette, I'm gonna talk about that. You're right. Some women are very accomplished. So then, if they are accomplished, then you're going to have to make a decision. Because as accomplished as you may be, there may be even less men that are as accomplished as you are. Right? So understand, the more success you gain, the more successful you are, the less of a pool that you have. Right? That's just the reality. That's just the reality. The bigger, the more successful you are, the more things that you become accustomed to, then your pool of gentlemen callers becomes smaller. And that goes both ways. No, what we don't want to date you're right, you don't want to date a brother that cannot match you or do the things that you do or fit into what you have already been doing for yourself. I am okay with you saying that. Right? But what I'm also saying is, don't expect that every time you meet a man that he's going to be able to level you up or provide to you, meet you, and exceed what you're doing. Sometimes you have to build a relationship. That's why it's called building a relationship. Building.
And we can we want somebody to match us, to have what we have, to be where we are or above. I completely understand that, and at the same time, the man that is not at your level but who is willing to come on and get at your level, I think we sometimes misjudge them, push them to the side because they're not yet there. But if he is the right one for you, then he has no problem. He doesn't expect for you to take care of him. He doesn't expect, those kind of things. He will come on and add everything that he has. He will add that to you. I didn't expect him to come, with whatever. I didn't expect that. I expected us to meet at a place, to have a conversation and say, okay, if this is us, this is team us. If you're my friend on Facebook, you will see it all the time. It's team us. It's team Baker. We are in this to make each other better. Not that I already had everything together.
Preach, Jocelyn, preach.
When he came, into my life, I was fine. I was fine with being single because I had everything that I thought, I could take care of myself. I can do this, whatever. But when he came into my life, he added an element of my life that I did not have. And together, we gonna take it to wherever it's supposed to go. It will become team us. It will become team Baker. It will become team whatever. If this man is not making 6 figures, he's not driving a Benz, he's not doing all those kind of things, but he's willing, he's able, he has the drive, he has the whatever. But we push him to the side because I'm independent. I don't need nobody that's less than me. Mm-hmm. Then you miss the man that's for you. You miss him because you push him to the side.
So, I'm loving the responses, lady. I'm loving the responses. Jocelyn, I'm going to come back to you because I saw that, Jocelyn. I'm going to come back to you.
Hey, Jocelyn.
So, some men don't want to be friends. Okay, I hear that. I kind of think about Ruth somewhere in that book that's like the best-selling book for the longest time. Ruth, the lady who was laying at the feet and just kind of doing what she was trying to do. Hate to go biblical, but there's a lesson to be learned in that. there's a lesson to be learned in patience. There's a lesson to be learned in conversation. There are lessons to be learned. I see a comment that said, some men don't want to be friends first. Well, Jocelyn, put it in overdrive and keep kicking. Because you can't build anything if you're not having a conversation. You can't build. There's no way for you to build. When we talk about the word faith, right? Somewhere during my studies, faith builds a lot of things. But at the end of the day, Greek philosophers realized that faith only built four things. And that was schools, businesses, homes, and churches. All of those things were bound, bred, and forged in faith. So either you read the word, or either you listened to the word, or you were in the presence of the word. All three of those require you to be with the person that you're trying to move forward. And if you can't do that, that's not going to work. Now, disclaimer, I am no preacher, but I may sound like it from time to time. Those are things that I believe. So let's go back to that. Faith builds schools, homes, businesses, and churches. And in order to have that faith, you either had to read the word, listen to the word and hear it, or be in the presence of it. So how can you build anything with a man if you're not taking the time to what? Listen, hear, and spend time with? I'm just trying to go there. I'm just trying to lay from my viewpoints on what we need to do and how we need to do it. Dwayne, I pick on you, or I call your name a lot, brother, because you seem like to be the only man sometimes. Dwayne, I ran into your problem. You're right. When you are successful, and there are successful men that don't have as successful women, or we're looking for that, sometimes you realize it's not about what people can do for you or what people can offer you. Sometimes you figure that, hey, I don't need to waste my time on ladies. And it comes out a little harsh sometimes when we say that are not on our level. I think about my dad, who used to have all these ideas and words of wisdom. And one of his first things was, you can tell the caliber of a woman when you take her out to eat. And if she knows how to cut a steak, she has some culture. Now, that's a long way. That's a long kind of idea. But you got to figure out what's what. Jocelyn says, Jay, some men don't think the way you do.
They don't.
And I agree. I am atypical. But I work around all of those who don't think the way I think. And that's a maturity piece. That's a maturity piece. That is a conversation. That is men that have to know them and know what they're willing to do. I think in response to that, as MzBee said, sometimes you could be the piece that a person is missing.
Absolutely.
Or vice versa.
Absolutely.
So as much as you'll hear me talk about what women should do and how we should communicate, I also know that goes both ways. We can't be hard. You can't be hitting your chest, banging in the east, banging in the west, but not having a conversation. Right? We have to come to the table and have a conversation. And getting to know a person, having that conversation. And I mean, there's so many vehicles to do that now. You can FaceTime them. You can do all kind of stuff now that we couldn't do back in the day. So there are opportunities to grow that relationship. Now, is there a limit? Is there an age limit to that, though? If the man is 25 and grinding, or 50 and still trying to get himself together, sometimes that can speak to the latter's character. It's going to speak to his character all the time. Right? So that phrase just can't get right? Sometimes you got people that are just grinding. And MzBee, this is what you're referring to. he's grinding, but he's just missing something. You know, that joke is, Luther Vandross's curl couldn't get just right when he had that little curl. But he needed someone to come in and kind of take that to the next level. That's what you provide. Now, as far as your age range and those kind of things, that's just something that you have to figure out. There's a large age gap between the two of us. Not large, but... and a lot of that has to do with just communication and realizing that it didn't make a difference if I was older. It was all about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to and how we wanted to do it. Jocelyn is up front. Jocelyn, I let it be known that I'm not an ordinary woman, yet I have walked away from a lot of hard-headed men. Okay, but that's called protecting your time. That's what that is. That's not expectation versus reality. That's you protecting your time because that's your time. And it's important to you. And there's no reason for you to waste it. So protect your time. I appreciate you saying that. Lay it out, put it all out there and let me figure out, let me marinate on it a little bit and then let me figure out if that's something that I want to do. And sometimes the lack of a response in 2 or 3 days means that that's probably not the place or the person that you should be wasting your time with. So we've talked about a lot of expectations, but we haven't really talked about the reality. Is that Jamila? All right. Jamila, I think sometimes men just never get to that point. There's a point where drive stops in a man. You have some men who are constant drivers. They're going to be in the front. They're going to be driving the bus. They're going to be pushing the bus, and they're not going to stop. And then you have some people who get to a level of complacency, which is, hey, I can pay my bills. I got a nice car. I can afford to go out to eat, and I'm done at that point. And when you do that, that's their ceiling. And sometimes, you just have to kind of walk away from that and say, that's just not for you. Trina's for me, but Trina could stop being for me if Trina doesn't want to do better. That's my goal. Even in my job, it's always, what can we do better? What can we do better? Because that's a drive, and that's moving you to a place where you two can have common bonds and common ideals to build on and create that next step or that next level together versus someone bringing you a level, which does not always work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, and like I said, it's a lot of things when you're single, like with me prior to him. I wasn't going to allow my time to be wasted. There's a difference, like you said, between dealing with someone, settling for something, just going through the motions. I couldn't. I told him the story. I went on a date, one date, and there was no need to continue past this. And it was like, sometimes but you keep going back hoping like, okay, the physical can lead you down a long road of wasted time. He fine, he this, he that, whatever. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to allow you to waste mine. I can pay for my own food and we can call it fair. I drive my car to the restaurant, you drive yours, and if it doesn't work out, then we fine, we good, we go our separate ways. But I think with us, it's a constant drive. You want somebody to always be better. Like you said, and for me, things that people say, oh, that's so cliche. That's so cliche. It is until you apply it to your life, till it becomes your reality. It can be. I just want to be better today than I was yesterday. We've all heard it. Yes, it's cliche, but we live by, I want to be better today than I was yesterday. And that's in individually and together. We have conversations at the end of the night. We had one last night. We have what's the bar? If the bar is 105, it's like, okay, I'm at 97. Okay, if I get to 104, I'm pushing the bar to 110. You have to always have something there to keep striving for together. Somebody comes to your life, they add the things that make them who they are, the things that, that you enjoy, the things that, you have to, and I think we miss so much because we don't give that opportunity. And with us, it's like, okay, I'm like the girly girl, the whatever. I don't like outside or whatever. But with him, I became interested in the things that he's interested in because, like I said last week, I'm vested in him and him in me and whatever to make your bond stronger. Our reality is that we are married. We live together. We do. That's our reality. So we have to make that work for us. We still have expectations of each other. Like you said, I want him to make me better. I want to make him better. He sees things in me that I don't see in myself. That was what I was missing before. And like you said, if you miss out on somebody, they can be, see those things in you that you don't see in yourself. And he definitely does that. He, like I said, my box is here. He pushes me to Atlanta. I mean, it's not always the big things. Sometimes we just need the little things. We need somebody to pour them into us, which is little things. I see this for you. I know you can do this. I want you to do this. His thing is, I want you to do it. Why don't you do it? Excuse me. Why aren't you doing it? It's just him pouring all of that stuff into me. And my reality is it has become an expectation for him because we can become complacent. We can become satisfied. We can become so, okay, I'm good. But what really is good? There's always more. There's always bigger. There's always better. And that's not material things. Mm-hmm. For us, our love is bigger. It's better. What can we do today that we didn't do yesterday? What did I miss today that I didn't see yesterday? Or what do I want to do tomorrow? Sometimes that man doesn't have the 6 figures, but he has all the love, the support, all the things that you need, you know what I'm saying, to help to build you up, to hold you up. And that, we get tired. I need to lean on him. He needs to lean on me, and I need to be that for him, not because, of his job, his car, his house, his whatever. I need that from the inside of him.
You need a lot. No,
I do.
I agree. Now, of course, this topic kind of says that you really haven't found your mate because we're talking about expectations versus reality. I think for me, reality, and for many men that I kind of hang around, I'm a firm believer you hang around like-minded people, and if they're not like-minded, then you're kind of, I think someone said I didn't want to be in a relationship that was fruitless. That would be wasting my time. What do we do? And what is your reality? What is it that you really want? Right? Do you really want a big package and that's all? Do you really want someone with a large bank account and that's all? Or do you want a man that comes in and pours into your life and pours into what you do and creates that bond? And Jocelyn, we're going to do a spiritual bond thing too, because we thought about that. Mm-hmm. But create that bond where that bond now is not really a bond. You want me to tell you what that is? That's support. That's an anchor, right? When people, think about dropping the anchor just doesn't keep the boat from moving, but it creates support so that the boat doesn't rock. Watch out now. I'm sharing some stuff with you now. Remember, the anchor goes down and it keeps the boat from going forward or backwards. But what it also does, it keeps it from rocking. When you're anchored in each other, when you're anchored in what you do, when you're anchored, as Jocelyn says, in that spiritual bond, things are okay. Right? And then it's okay to come home. There are days I come home and I feel like I failed at what I should have done today. And it takes that support from her to say, no, you didn't. You'll just finish it tomorrow. So sometimes it's just the support and the support and the backing from the mate that you're with to really say, hey, it's okay. Yes, Jamil, you're right. You want somebody to love your inner soul. But if you don't show your inner soul, I can't get to your inner soul. If you're not, that word vulnerable, if you're never at a point to where you're vulnerable, I can't get to your inner soul. Now, he may snatch your soul, but he doesn't mean that he can get to your inner soul. That's two different things. So, along with sharing your soul, there becomes some room for vulnerability in that. And you have to have that vulnerability. You have to be able to deal with that. I'm trying to reference some comments that I saw that just not sticking with me. Dwayne had some things, about women and kind of how he didn't, he experienced some bad parts with that. You're right. Sometimes that you're going to experience that. Nothing's perfect. We're not perfect. We have no professional degree in relationship 101. But I can tell you that we've been around the block, and, it's okay to share things that you have to be. So, yes, that's a word that we don't use. People don't use the word vulnerable, right? But if you're not open enough to see if this man is going to attempt to pour into you, or he's going to attempt to protect your heart, or he's going to attempt to protect the woman that he says he wants to be with, then how do we know? I'm a man's man, and, I stand by what I say. You bothering me is not a big deal. But if you're bothering her, then you kind of have a problem. Because I'm going to pour into her. Because she knows what my triggers are. And she knows when I get upset. And she knows that this may not be the right time nor the right place, Jay, for you to pop off. So calm yourself down. So those are things that we have to do. Vulnerable, emotionally naked, and bare.
Yes.
Now, that's MzBee. We did say emotionally naked. I had to watch MzBee on her playing words sometime. I think sometimes, yes, you have to open up and you just have to let things go. You have to let it go. Yes, Jocelyn, it's going to cause some pain. You're right. Yes. Some people, by opening and becoming vulnerable, there is room for deception, betrayal, and hurt. I get it. But how else do we find that? How do we find that mate if we don't give them the opportunity to be a mate? So, I'm going to say that again. They can't be your mate if you don't give them the opportunity to be your mate. Check on the chessboard and checkmate. Because there is a pawn, there is a king that has to get close to the queen. And if you can't get close to the queen, you have to navigate your board. But navigating that also means that we have to figure out what works for the both of us. And we have to respect what works for the both of us. And that's kind of what we do.
Yes. Being...
Get all kinds of stuff
here. Jamila, been there, done that. Like I said, vulnerable. It has a negative connotation, being vulnerable. You don't want to appear
so vulnerable.
You don't want to be weak. You don't want to open yourself up to somebody. But you have this notion, if you already have this notion that if and when I do, I have the potential to be hurt. He has the potential to use all of this to his advantage. But at the same time, if that doesn't happen, you have the potential to gain somebody that protects your heart, somebody that has your best interest at heart, somebody that has your back, somebody that's going to be there for you, somebody that can, he's seen me cry, he's seen me at my worst, he's, somebody that will be there with you, for you, all those kind of things. It was hard for me because my wall was like
10 feet tall.
Yes, my wall was probably had a couple of bricks on top of 10 feet tall when he came along, because I had been down that road. I had been, I had experienced all of.
But Big Daddy knocked him down. Big Daddy knocked him down.
But I had the wall, I had the guards, I had all of that kind of stuff, and I felt that I needed all of that, because if I don't protect me, who's going to? And at the same time, a wall keeps people in and it keeps people out.
That's a whole sermon right there.
It took me a minute to realize that while I'm, this wall, it keeps people in and it keeps people out. And at some point in time, we don't want anybody that close to us anymore, especially if you've been hurt, you've been out. You don't want that. That's a whole nother episode. But you have to take into consideration that everybody that you meet is not going to do that. There is somebody for everybody. And there is that one person, like you said, if you don't allow him the opportunity to show you, then how will he ever know? He can't show you what you don't allow him the opportunity to show you. And like I said, events, things happen in life where I needed to cry and I needed to know that he was my support. I needed to scream, yell, whatever, for whatever reason, but I needed to know that he was okay with being there with me and for me through all of that. But I had to get to the point where I could be vulnerable, where I could be weak, I could be all of that kind of stuff and be okay, but him still understanding that I'm a woman first and foremost.
I agree. She used the wall analogy. I do this all day at work. Think about a Ziploc bag, right? So you take a Ziploc bag, you purchase them, and you use the Ziploc bag to put stuff in there that you want. And when you zip it closed, why do you do that? You do that to keep those things that are not good for it on the outside. But there's also another use for a Ziploc bag. When you have meat in the bag, you put all of the seasonings and all the marinade in there. Then you do what? You close it up because it has to marry. It has to gel. See, that's you and that man having that communication. That's you and that woman having that communication. You are locked into each other and you're trying to discern from each other what's the best thing to do. So when you're in that bag and you're marinating, that's that dating process. That's that getting to know person. Now, sometimes you have to open that zip bag, that Ziploc bag, and you just have to let some people go. Right? That's just the truth of it. That's like when you got too much air in the bag, you have to crack it a little bit and squeeze it. You got to let some stuff go. Everybody's not for you. And you're not for everybody. I will be the first to tell people all the time, a lot of people don't have to like me and I'm okay with it because I like myself. And you have to have that. You have to have the vulnerability. You have to realize that everybody who's in your corner, when they could be in the room, but they're in the corner, may not be in your corner, right? Because every corner has a room. Or every corner has two streets. Why is it just the corner? Why are you not walking down the street with me? Why are you not why are you not in the room with me? Come on in the room and let's sit down and talk. Those are things that I think that are important for us. I know it's getting about 8:33 and we only had an hour. We enjoyed it. We always do. I'm glad to see people tuning in. Share with your friends. Share with your mate. This could be an experience. This could be something that moves your relationship forward. Or maybe there's a gentleman call out there who just needs to hear that people do open up and people do have conversations about relationships and life, and that's okay. Everyone in your car is not going to the same destination. No, ma'am.
Absolutely.
No, ma'am. They're not going to the same destination because you're the one driving. So you're the only one that know where you're going. Hello. They have to be. This has to be a group. This has to be a group. Thank you, Miss Porter, Savette. We try our best. Thank you, Leah. You know, I'm happy to be here. Something I didn't think I would be doing. Got strong arm, but it's okay. I'm happy. We'll be back with you again on next Wednesday. We will try to get a topic out earlier, like on Tuesday, to give you guys time to come up with some questions, so that we can get right into it. So when we hit it at 7:30 on Wednesday, we'll go right into it. But we appreciate you interacting. We appreciate you doing things that you want to do, and asking questions. And I think this is a forum, and I thank MzBee for it. The opportunity to be able to do this, and we'll go forward. You know what? I give you a topic for tomorrow, and then we're out for Wednesday. Have you ever heard the term "feed them until they look like you"? Think about that, and that's what we're going to talk about. That's to give you a hint. We're talking about blended families. But that would be the topic. MzBee, if you can remember that, or we'll shoot that to you. The topic for next week, if we can do that, will be feed them until they look like you. And then we'll kind of talk about what we're talking about as far as it goes to relationships and that kind of thing. All right? Have a great rest of your week. Stay safe. Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. And we'll see you on next Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.